Hi everyone, AJ here. Welcome to another vlog. It's a baby vlog, pregnancy vlog. Oh geez. I will not use those hashtags. Actually, I might have to. I wrote down some notes because after I made the pregnancy announcement, I realized that I was going to have so much to talk about, even though I'm just past the 2-month mark. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of things I could talk about leading up to trying to conceive, which, I've kept hush hush, and I'll do a video about that and why I decided to keep that secret also. So I'm going to break them down to shorter videos on, more concise topics instead of trying to cover everything at once, because there's just a lot I want to talk about and share with you guys. So this video is going to be about like leading up, or like just right prior to when my husband and I decided that we were going to start trying to start a family. If you go to my website, andreajangle.com, there is a blog that I wrote about how I tweaked my nutrition and training for the mountain bike season. That will give you a really good idea of where I was at leading into the summer with my summer sports and my nutrition and training for that. And I just suggest that you go read that. It'll just give you some insight into my mindset. And now, now I'm letting you guys know that, this was leading up to the time that we wanted to start a family. So, basically our train of thought was, we only got married like a year and a half ago. Well, it's almost 2 years now, but in the summer it would have been like a year and a half. So we just wanted to spend some quality time together. We wanted to bike as much as possible, because that was something that I used to do all the time. My husband just recently took it up, and it was a bonding thing. So we wanted to establish that as part of our relationship before starting a family. I'm a big like families that stay together, play together, stay together, pregnancy brain. I'm a believer in that, so that was important to me. So this whole summer, if you go back and read that blog, just keep in mind that, this was all leading up to wanting to start a family, and fertility was a major priority. So that blog kind of ends towards the end of the summer, and what I don't get into is how crazy things kind of got right at the end of the summer. I decided to leave my job with Body.io. That was a major decision. That decision also required that I have to basically kind of reinvent myself, rebuild my website, take down my old website. There was just a huge to-do list with that decision. So there was the stress of that. My mother and her partner were taking care of a family member who they were doing palliative care at home. Before that, they were still taking care of him, but it was back and forth to the hospital. So we had a family member who passed away, and of course, that was super stressful. But it was also because we were the emotional support for his primary caregivers, that just kind of really had to take priority towards the end of the summer and early fall. Unfortunately, he passed away. So, yeah, there was the stress of that. There was work stress. I'm not going to lie. There was also the stress of, this was my last kind of summer before I was trying to get pregnant. So, I really want to optimize my time to do things that I love doing. And I pushed it pretty hard towards the end. I was traveling all over to see family, visiting them visiting them up at the cottage, trying to get as much biking in, trying to coordinate that with my husband and him going back to work. And yeah, that combined with leaving my job at Body.io and starting off my own, I noticed that just before we were going to start trying to start a family, my stress levels just went through the roof. Obviously, it wasn't just one thing; it was everything. And when that happens to me, and a lot of it was also because I was trying to get that last bit of biking in for the year, I dropped some more body fat. I had maintained a really great physique and health and everything throughout the summer, and then right at the very end, I just kind of dropped a little bit of body fat where I was like, I know my body, I know when I'm too lean, when I can see ab veins, and when my butt looks super lean, I know that that's not a safe zone for me to enter, not for an extended period of time. So those are the physical signs that I noticed, I was like, okay, I'm getting a little too lean, and just it happened exactly when I started stressing out too much. And then, of course, my recovery was just crap. So I would go biking, and I wasn't biking tons. I was, 2-3 days a week still, but still training, and then all these other stresses on top of that. My heart rate at night was, 15, sometimes, well, usually 10, but it was higher than my normal resting heart rate. I would get up in the morning and it wasn't recovered. That would happen like 3 days in a row. So that for me, hi, I'm under recovered. I'm not going to say I was overtraining. I just under recovered. And if everything was just peachy keen in life, I would probably get away with that. But there was just way too many additional stressors on top of that. So I had to really back off because the others, it's like it just all compounding, because here I am wanting to start trying, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm now in this position where I've pushed things a little too far and I'm stressed out, and I don't want to run into thyroid issues because I do have a past of being like subclinical hypothyroid. I've never had to go on prescription thyroid medication. I'm going to do a whole blog post about that, because it's not that I'm against them. It's just that I was lucky to be able to always like fall back into a really healthy range as far as blood work, and all my symptoms went away with some minor adjustments. I see too many women who are trying to do that when they should be on meds, and they're just trying to adjust their diet or whatever it might be, and it's not working, and so they're suffering from like hypothyroid, but they won't go on medication. I don't think that that's a smart move either. So anyway, that was like a mini rant. I'm gonna do a separate thing about that. But the pressure I was putting on myself, which is what the point I want to make, is that here I am trying to be, trying to optimize my fertility, and I found myself in a position where I'm like, ooh, if I don't put on the brakes right now, things are going to go sideways and this is going to blow up in my face. So that's another stressor, right? So I basically just cold turkey stopped biking. I went for like one last weekend where I did a bunch of cross country, and I actually went downhilling by myself because my husband was busy. That was like the weekend after I went help my mother sort out her house after our family member had passed. She just had a lot of work on her plate. So it was like a week of or two of like crazy stress and putting too much on my plate. And then I just kind of, after that, I was like, you know what? I'm done biking for the season. Might go on a couple like mellow pedals around town, but I'm not, doing any road trips. I'm going to focus on rebuilding my website and my own business. Things with my family had kind of simmered down a little bit, so they weren't as stressed out, so I didn't feel as obligated to, be at their beck and call. So you can see how, like, just as we were trying to conceive, like, things just kind of peaked for me, and part of this goes back to, like, knowing your body and knowing the red flags and the signs that happen, and I was just aware of all those things. So I right away just stopped biking. It was a great thing, because not only did it take off a huge stressor, it also brought down my energy expenditure. So I was able to, keep my diet kind of the same, and then just put on a little bit more weight. So I was back to a healthy body weight. I'm not going to get into like if I think BMI is like a good measuring tool for healthy body weight, but if you go onto any fertility websites, they'll tell you that anywhere between like 19 and 24.9 is a healthy BMI for fertility. Most of the research I look at, if that's the measure you're going to use, then yes, I think there is something to that. So I just wanted to make sure I was in a safe range, and I just know based on my body, like when I have those visible signs I told you about, like just that level of leanness I reach, I start noticing things. I don't miss my period, but I start noticing like I get a little bit more PMS, and those are all signs that your body is just saying, no, this is not working for me. So I just put on a little bit more body fat. End of story. It was what I had to do. I liked it. I don't like being super, super lean when I get into that sketchy zone. So stopped biking, did that. focus on stress management. So I just like basically narrowed down how much work I was gonna do. I had like an awesome to-do list and just picked away at it every day without trying to put too much pressure on myself. This is like, I mean, this was just my area of focus, like leading up to when we wanted to start trying. And the other thing, I mean, the only other thing I really did was I started taking folate. I'm probably going to put this video in a blog. I'll send you a link. It's the Metagenics folate that I started taking. I started taking that 3 months before pregnancy. Based on all the research that I read, starting to take it 3 months before is ideal. I know if, you know, some people don't plan to be pregnant, so then you would start taking it right away. But if you're planning, I definitely think you should start taking it before. I didn't really stop any of my other supplements. I'll get into that I'll do another video about when we were trying to conceive and how I tackled other supplements that I was taking, because I did have to stop taking a lot of them. So, you know, keeping an eye on my menstrual cycle, any signs of like hypothyroid or under recovering, stress, taking the folate. Those are like my 3 big focuses leading up to when we were going to start trying. I wanted to make sure that my thyroid health was optimal because I don't know if you know or not, but yes, whether you're hypo or hyperthyroid, it can lead to fertility issues and also miscarriage. So that was really one of my top priorities. And then just the other thing I want to throw into all of this is just having a healthy lifestyle and attitude to begin with. It's something that's always been a focus of mine. So, you know, exercising regularly, eating nutrient-dense foods. Part of that also is not like over stressing about food. Yes, I eat a donut here and there. I eat ice cream. So there's that balance in my life. That was obviously a focus leading up to trying to start a family. It always has been. And I can tell you right now, you know, just over 2 months pregnant, it really is a blessing, and I'm so glad that I've done that, because it would be really, really hard to try to shift into that lifestyle in early pregnancy, as I see a lot of people do, which I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. If that's the way it works out, then that's the way it works out. But if you can establish those patterns before, wow, you're just making life so much easier for yourself, and I think for your own health and the health of the baby. So that was really my mindset leading up to the time that we wanted to start trying. I'll do another video about, you know, when we started to try and what kind of tools I use, because I'm sure some of you want to know if I use like ovulation, what are they called? Ovulation sticks, pregnancy brain. I can blame everything on that now. But I'll explain that in a separate video, and there's a few other things that I had to shift at that time. But really leading up to it was just all about optimal body weight for me. I know that varies person to person. I do know women who are, you know, super, super lean that have no problem getting pregnant. I also know people with really healthy body weights that really have a hard time. So this is a very touchy subject. I can only talk about my experience. There's all sorts of issues that women run into. I just felt like, you know, for me, these were my top priorities, knowing my health history. Just had to watch my stress levels, my recovery, my thyroid health, and not put too much pressure on myself. So I'm going to get into some other stuff in the next video. I think I'm going to end this video for today. And please go back and read that blog that I mentioned, because that will kind of give you an idea of, you know, maybe just even reading it now, knowing that fertility was at, you know, the top of my priority list through the summer of mountain biking and still weight training. And of course, trying to like have a, you know, an aesthetically pleasing body composition. You know, that fertility was a priority through all that. I just didn't mention it in that article before, and I'll talk about why. I'm going to do a whole thing about the, you know, the social aspects of trying to start a family, because that's something that I could probably rant about. So anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back soon with another video.